Welcome back to our Sleep Life podcast. I am your host, Mel. And you know what, guys? We have a patient. We have a story for you today. He's on Instagram. That's how I know him. And I've been following him for roughly a year now. And I'm happy he reached out. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I need dudes. Guys, if you're listening, just message me. Most likely you'll come on the show. There's not enough of you. So please. And I'm so happy that this man did. So thank you. Thank you. And I'm very excited to introduce Jess, Time for Change 365. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you so much. No, I appreciate. Yeah, I've been, likewise, and I think about the same amount of time following, you as well. I honestly think I followed the podcast before I followed your, personal account.
That's pretty
But yeah, so, just I love everything that you do and what you do for the community, and and my whole thought process on the weight loss community is about support. And so being on here is kind of an honor for me, but also to help and give back and hopefully share my story, in hopes that it just reach and touches one person. Then it was all for it. So I'm sure there's other
well.
Jesses, and there's other Jesses out there that need a voice, and need or may be stuck and just need that extra guidance. And I'm hoping that I can help support them in that in any way possible.
Well, I'm glad you're here for that and here for them. So let's kick it off. So when did I was a big kid my whole life, right? So like I've never known anything small until these last like 8 years. Eight because I say 8 years because like it took me a while to get to my lowest, but and then you sit in it. So like I've always was a big kid. So was that the same for you, or did this happen more later on in age?
No, to be honest with you, so if you go back and you look at just family pictures and anything that we have, even going back, I can remember ever since I was the age of about 6 years old, where going by the numbers, I was, even an obese kid back at 6 years old. There's family pictures of me, sitting in the dining room area, and if you can imagine, the wood paneling, walls, and I'm sitting there at
Okay.
a loaf of French or bread, and I'm taking a big chunk right out of the center of it.
Yep.
And it was like a game. I grew up in a household. I'm 50% Irish and 50% Italian. My mom basically grew up, on a farm. So my mom, grew up in with heads being cutting off chickens. So it was either Italian food or it was fried food in the house. And
Mm.
we never really were told we can't have seconds, and we really weren't told that we couldn't have thirds. I think my parents, they'll blame themselves for maybe to where I've gotten in my life as far as, my weight and everything like that. Um, but, and I know that you're a product of your environment and where it contributes to it. But
100%.
as I gotten older, obviously I've put the food to my own mouth and made my own decisions, but I think, I learned from an early on age, always clear your plate, never leave leftovers. And, it's just, those types of things and those habits just built, but yeah, I've been big ever since I've known, you know, really, like I said, since 6 years old.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you because like I thought I was from an Italian family. It finds out I think my family just couldn't read right and I'm actually 47% Irish. And so I relate a lot to you because of food. Like there's a lot of it and and they just want you to feel good and they're just like eat, have fun, like food's everywhere. And so it's like yes, we don't want to say it's their fault, but also like they didn't know any better. So like I don't blame my family because it's like you didn't know any better either. Like you had no idea like giving us this quantity of food was going to do what it's doing to us. But now we know, right? So now we're in the awareness and now we actually have to do shit about it. But like, you know, I watched my aunt do it to her son and my cousins, like there's three of them, and legit she feeds them like big meals still. And I'm like, they don't need all that. Like,
Well,
it's insane, but they're gonna learn too. Like, it is what it is. But once you get older, that's where it's hard because now you've been literally in these ways for a long time.
and I think this is the norm everywhere, but even like growing up, I can remember, you know, I can remember my mom cooking dinner and never really making servings for four. You know what I mean? It was always just this extravagant, like, oh, so much more than what was really needed.
Yeah,
So, I think her idea of it was if if they're asking for more, they must still be hungry.
right. Yeah.
It was never, no, I think you've had enough, now it's time, to, get back outside, go play. And that's another thing too, is like, I've always been big all my life, but I've always been active in sports. So, I was, the whole funny thing of saying, don't come home until the street lights are on, that was me. It wasn't like I was this lazy, kid growing up. I mean, it's just, if I wasn't playing sports, in school or anything like that, you know, if there was food around, it was just natural for me to, indulge in that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. And like it sounds like the whole family, and I've been there. It's interesting because like everything is food. So you're just like, if you're happy, it's food. If you're sad, it's food. If we're, going somewhere, there's food involved. And even with us active kids, like I was a big girl, but it wasn't like, you know what? I was the size I am right now in school. And I thought that I was like this big fat, girl, whatever. The actually big mel actually really happened after high school. Like the getting over 200 pounds and all that, because like I had a sedentary job. I got pregnant and had my one and only child at 18 turning 19. So like I just got bigger through that as well. So um because once you're active, like it's fine that we were having these carbs and stuff when we're active. It's when we're like sedentary, it's like this is what happens.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think that's, pretty much how it entails to my story because, I was always the biggest kid in the room and all through, junior high and high school, always the biggest kid. Um, I just never really let my weight get bigger than what I thought I could handle until my adult life. And then after, high school, being, with you're done with baseball, playing league baseball
Mm.
and, football all through high school, that type of thing. And then once high school was done, I really didn't continue that progression in any type of, sports, and I really focused, like, I always had like a good job, like even right after high school, and having my career take off and that type of thing, and um I as you mentioned, I had a very sedentary type job, like just, I mean, I work in IT, so I'm
Oh,
basically yeah, sitting down in front of a computer for 8 to 10 hours a day, and it just ballooned and ballooned. um you know, come, 2000, I would meet my wife and, start dating my wife. And then,
okay.
um, I would say, that 2008, 2010, we had our first child. And you would think, my wish all growing up was, I had two wishes really, and that was to become a father and to become a husband, well, husband first, obviously, and a father,
Yeah.
and you would think something as strong as that would be a turning point for someone to kind of get serious about it, but
Right.
like I said, like I said, I never let it, at least in my eyes, I never let it get bigger than what I thought I could handle. And it wasn't until 7 years after that, like 2017, I'm sitting and find myself in the hospital with ulcers on both my legs.
You had ulcers on your legs?
Both my legs, excruciating pain. And so going into the hospital, and then I'm sitting there and I'm lying in the bed, and they have nurses and everything coming in, and they're cleaning out the wounds and everything. And for anyone who's ever had ulcers or anything like that, that's excruciating. It sucks. I don't wish it upon anybody.
Like an open wound, right?
Yeah, yeah, just basically a hole, and um, I probably let it get. I ignored it for a little bit too long, thinking, this, it's just it's a scab, it's a sore, it's this, it's that. And then when it got on the second leg and everything, and then when it just got way out of control, that's when I went into the hospital with it. And
Yeah, you can look.
yeah, I can remember being in the hospital, and the on staff ER doctor, he came to the side of the bed and he's like, "Hey, Jess, I got to be honest. Um, you should really look into the hospital's bariatric, program."
Mhm.
Not that I was opposed or against. Many years prior to this, I had looked into and was this close from doing um, the lap band.
Okay.
And during that time, I got laid off in between jobs, so I lost my insurance that would cover it. So that kind of destroyed that, part, um and I didn't go through with it. Then years went by, and then I went through the stint of, like, I always thought that I was going to be the one that was going to get on your Biggest Losers, or get on
Oh,
your Extreme Makeover weight loss. So, like, I auditioned for Extreme Makeover, and made it pretty far,
okay.
almost to, yeah. But got right before they picked for those to go on the show, and this was that one. I don't know if you guys remember, with, like, Chris Powell, the
Yes,
the
yes.
trainer. Yeah. So that was
Yeah,
the one. I
Tyler
was like,
actually been on the pod.
yeah, and I was very close to being, on that show, and um,
If you are looking to level up your weight loss journey like I am, let's talk about ProCare's new metabolic G3A. It's a GLP-1 companion plus your blood sugar support. This game-changing supplement is designed to support your metabolic health and your blood sugar levels, making it a perfect companion for those on a GLP-1 medication, which your girl is. Check out the metabolic G3A at procarenow.com and use code OSLP for 15% off your order. I have a great protein company for you that is both delicious and effective. That is Devotion Nutrition. With their amazing proteins, you will find mouth-watering flavors and high-quality ingredients that support your goals. You can bake with this, you can make your post-workout shake, and prepare a protein-packed snack. Devotion really does have you covered, so go over to devotion.com and use code OSLP5 at checkout to get 5% off your order. Fuel your body with the best Devotion nutrition ingredients today. Craving a sweet treat that fits your goals? Try Built Bar. With their protein packed bar in a variety of delicious flavors, you can satisfy your cravings while staying on track. I'm all about Team Puff. Those fluffy, melt in your mouth puffs are a game changer. Head over to built.com and use code OSLP at checkout and get 10% off your whole order. Treat yourself to something tasty and guilt-free with Built Bar.
they that that really wrecked me, and that was kind of at the time of everything, that was going on. Um, and fast forward, 2017, I would elect to have, bariatric ruin my, I had Roux-en-Y surgery.
Right, right.
Um,
So
and
did you get the RNY because of the ulcers on on your feet, or is this after the ulcers on your feet?
this is after, so this is so after that gentleman had, the ER doctor that was on staff that night. Funny as it be, I said to my wife, because I was always against the whole um, altering your body. It was like, that was just something, until you educate yourself and you really figure out, like, what's going on. And at that point in time, I mean, it really called for, like, drastic measures for me. That's how I looked at it. It was like, I'm sitting here in this bed, my body's deteriorating. This is the only, like, I always thought I was immortal, even with how big I was.
Right.
you know, and now I've got a wife, I've got two girls, I've got all this to live for and more, and I'm basically just shitting on it all, you know. I'm sitting here lying in a hospital bed, crying because I'm in pain and I've got these ulcers on my legs and my body is deteriorating. And that was like my wake up call of like, I got to do something, you know.
God.
I never had any issues, thank God, with, heart or anything like that, So it was just, that was like my turning point of like, my lowest point was like in that hospital bed, 588 pounds at that time,
Okay.
you know, almost tipping the scales at 600 pounds
Yeah.
with the ulcers on both my legs. And I would then go to a bariatric seminar to explain things from the hospital. And my wife went along with me.
Okay.
My wife, you know, uh, and she's overweight as well. So her and I are both in this, seminar, and we both sign up for it to do it. And it's funny because we went back to back months of getting our surgeries,
Oh, wow.
and she actually went the month before I did. So it was like me going to do all this, and then she actually is the one that like got it first, which was pretty cool because I got to like, she went first. I was able to experience it with her and then also go through my own, journey with it as well. But
Mhm.
during that time and that period, like I can't say how valuable for us to have done it together as like a team at that point in time,
Yeah.
and we both were, we both were successful with our surgeries as far as, the weight, came off. And, like even to today's time where like I can say I've had, weight regain,
Mhm.
a buddy of mine, and this was a conversation I had maybe about a month ago, and he was trying to explain to me, he's like, because I was getting really down on myself, and I've been going through a lot, just recently, and
Yeah.
he's like,
And
what you have,
online.
they,
Like,
he's like,
here's
what you have to understand is you were 588 pounds, now you're down to like, 400, you, and and that was back in 2017.
yeah.
So you're for 8 years, you should probably be further along than where you are now, and things happen, but you've at least been able to, with that surgery, to maintain and keep off, at least 200 pounds. And I had gotten down to like, I think 313 was like my lowest weight. And
Okay.
now being back, up, around like today, like, 420. So I've in the last, I would say 6 to 8 months, you know, I've put on, about 100 pounds that I'm not happy with. And,
Right.
and where it lies today is, I just recently, and if anyone that, checks out, my Instagram, they'll find out like I'm just brand new. First shot was on Saturday night of doing ZepBound, after going through a pretty brutal, back and forth denial approval process, and
Yeah.
was able to get that resolved. And, so that's like a new chapter in this. And, you know, it's one of those where like, I'm 46 years old. I'm not getting any younger. Um, and I, there's there's still a lot of things left on the bucket list that I want to get done.
Huh.
And, so I'm using this as just a tool, another avenue. I know there's, some in those that don't agree with it. Same as I dealt with the whole bariatric surgery part of it. Um, but I'll say it like this, and as respectfully or disrespectfully as possible, it's my journey. It's not yours. So,
Yeah.
uh,
I was
and
gonna say, I
yeah,
mean, personally, I was gonna say fuck them because like
yeah,
I'm on a GLP-1 too. Like I've been on it for a year because like I'm 10 years post-op and I gained 50 pounds. At the like literally I was able to maintain everything until year 8. So it happens, people. And you need something to help you. And now I know that I have insulin resistance. Didn't know that before. So cool. It's just like it's okay to use these things. And you're at a weight that we still need to bring you down. Like, we need to get you to a healthier weight. Like, we need to make sure that you can do these bucket list items. Like, that needs to happen. Like, I want this to happen for you.
Yeah, well, and I appreciate that, and it is, and you know, there's an organization, and I'm not sure if you're, you might be. I think you might even follow them. I know maybe the podcast does too, but the Obesity Action Coalition, the OAC. So, and I'm a member of that, big part of that, and something that is very uh, hits home for me is there's also within that program they do a lot and just started an initiative for children with obesity
Oh,
and like
good.
so like that's a big thing for me. Even have my my two girls, and I'm trying to hone everything in to kind of you know explain and just make it even right for them to understand you know we have to do things a little bit better and a little bit differently as we go forward with life because you know I'm I almost feel guilty that they with our genes like they've started with a bad they had it bad from the start, but
Yeah.
you know and it's just a matter of like taking those steps forward and doing if I'm doing right and I can preach it from the top down, then hopefully they'll pick up on that and follow along with it. So
Oh, yeah. Like, I know I wish I had those skills back then. So, whatever information they need so that way they can figure this out even sooner and sooner, like, we should be behind that because, like, I know Dr. Spencer, when I had him on, Dr. Spencer Nadowski, he was saying that he thinks within our lifetime that they're going to be able to pinpoint it as early in childhood. So that's what he's hoping for. He's like, the technology is here. We're just like, trying to figure it out. And I was like, sweet. Like, that's how you know it's a disease. If we're going to be able to pinpoint it and then like remove it, like,
and that's just it. You just hit the nail on the head with too many people don't view it as a disease.
mm-hmm.
And that's why I think you can't get the majority of people on board with like the GLP-1s and doing the weight loss surgery and that type of thing because they do look at those things as being the quote unquote easy way out type things.
Yeah.
It's I don't think they really stop and do the education piece of really understanding, like you mentioned. I myself believe that I have a issue with being insulin resistant, and the only reason why I say that is I did the keto diet for a very long time. Was very successful on it. It's hard to maintain for myself, but I did the best that I could for it, but during that period of time, I had a glucose monitor and a ketone monitor. So
Okay.
I was, when I was eating specific foods and just like or trying new foods into the diet, I would prick my finger and do the whole ketones, do the glucose to see how that was affecting me at that time. So I'm a big believer in, you know, like how, the glucose and how it spikes and everything and how that contributes and affects your ability, to lose and gain weight. And
Yeah.
and we're all not the same. That's just a given. That's everyone knows that. So the fact that there is a drug or drugs plural that are out there that can help combat and fix this thing, it's like no different than saying it's like you and I arguing about type 2 diabetes is not a disease. You should just be able to move more and eat less or don't eat those sugary foods and then you won't
Right.
have type 2 it just all goes away.
Yep. I mean, that's what they want. That's exactly what they want. Well, I think there's a lot to this because, like, and the they that I'm talking about is really the like pharmaceuticals and all these like higher ups because they want to keep us there because like they make money off of us being sick.
I was just going to say it's
And the fast food chains, like, here's the thing, they would all have to admit some fault in this, right? Because we are kind of like type 2 diabetes. Like once we became obese, you can't undo it is the problem. So you have to help all of those that became obese, and then you have to help those to not become obese, right? But the food industry is putting sugar in everything so that way you crave it. Like they're doing very naughty things, guys, to make us want things. Like there's a full psychological thing behind colors, word placement, food placement, everything. Like they have done so much research, which kudos to them for doing the research, but we need this to be like good for us, not to hurt us. And so we're in this like scoop of what they fucking made, right? We're just in this big, huge pool. And now you're like, okay, well, fix me. And like, don't get mad at me for using the tools to fix me. I got bariatric surgery. I'm on a GLP-1. Why are you still hating? Like, we don't make fun of people for taking their fucking insulin shots and fucking taking their
And
painkillers,
yeah,
whatever. Like, what are we
yeah.
doing?
I have a delicious and nutritious way to boost your protein intake. Try American Dream Nut Butter, packed with high quality protein and healthy fats. It's the perfect snack to fuel your weight loss journey. Whether you're adding it to your favorite meal or enjoying it straight out of the jar, like your girl does, American Dream Nut Butter is a tasty way to stay on track. Visit AmericanDreamNutButter.com and use code OSLP and get 10% off your order. Treat yourself to a healthier snack today. Since I started my weight loss journey, I have been more positive and more intent with what I'm doing with my life. And that includes what I'm wearing. I found this new company called Find the Good Brand. Their collection of motivational apparel and accessory is designed to help you stay focused on the positive while making a bold statement. From inspiring shirts to empowering hats, you got it covered. Visit findthegoodbrand.com and use code MELUNFILTER at checkout to get 10% off your order. Start spreading those good vibes today with Find the Good Brand. I'm taking my wellness to the next level with First Form because they have premium supplements to support all your health and fitness goals. Whether you're building lean muscle, boosting recovery, or improving overall health, they got you covered. Try their level 1 sustain release protein or their Formula 1 for quick recovery. Check out their full lineup at firstform.com/melunfiltered and take your wellness journey further today.
Yep. And and I feel the same way about it. And it's like I, I I'm one of those individuals that uh I won't judge anyone for what they're doing to try to get it done. As long as they're not like, you know, obviously, you know, harming themselves of like, going into, deep depression or, going
Start.
into starvation. Yeah.
Mhm.
So as long I just want you to have a path. You know what I mean? And what works for you may not work for the next person or someone else. And we have this there's it's it's a natural thing about like comparing yourself to others and that type of thing, and it is a hard thing, I think, in the weight loss community for some individuals to just totally get away from. They'll be excited about getting on a GLP-1 and hoping that they've seen the person over here that lost 200 pounds in X amount of days, and oh, it's going to do the same thing for me. No, you don't know what their situation was, how they went about doing it, how much they were exercising in it, the foods that they were eating, what their insulin resistance type, is
Right?
themselves.
Yeah.
So there's so many variables and factors that are included in that. So that's where it's like the comparison factor you kind of have to just take that out of the equation
I just
and
stop. Just
and
stop it.
do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna make your own, you know, path, your own way of doing it.
Yeah,
So
just go against yourself. Only person you have to prove yourself to is yourself. Like I
absolutely,
don't need to prove myself to any of my family, friends, fucking trolls on the internet. Like I don't need to prove anything to you. Like I need to prove it to myself. And this is what I'm doing. These are the courses that we decided to take. Um, I do have some questions for you. So
absolutely.
just because like now I know more of your story. Now I'm more curious. So, okay, so you were 588 and you got down to like you said like 313 ish,
Yep.
roughly in that area. So, did something happen? Like, was there like, did trauma happen? Did something like, because that's a big jump. And I have to be honest, like, I know when I gained my 50, it was because trauma happened. Like, I watched my ex husband die and come back. So, like,
Oh, you mean are you talking about in my trauma in my childhood, or trauma going from my 313 back up to the 421 I'm at now?
back up.
Uh, no trauma. I would just say I contribute it to, you know, I really contributed to just a lot of like stress.
Okay.
Um, and I would say within the last 3 to 4 months for me right now, the I've done I've done this, and I've done every single diet that you can imagine.
So you're
Uh,
used to yo-yoing.
yes, very
Got it.
much so.
Good.
I have this thing, and I like to call it, uh, I'll call it success abandonment. And
Okay.
the reason why I call it that is I've always found myself getting to a point to where like the success is just around the corner. And I say the word success, not really knowing what success really is, because I think it's a never
Get
ending.
there
Yeah.
completely.
So I will lose a significant amount of weight,
Okay.
and somehow I will find an excuse in life to get in the way and derail me and go back to the old habits and behaviors that I was. And then I'm doing the guilty thing.
So
And
you're a sabotager. You're sabotaging.
100%, yes, 100%, 100%. And the food noise for me, and in the last, like, I would say in the last 3 to 4 months, it's been so bad. That's why I was just so looking forward to getting on this GLP-1 and hoping that does, I'm hoping and praying that does what it's supposed to do as far as the food noise type scenario, where it can help. I don't want to walk past, the pantry, and just because I walk past it, feel I have to open it up, look and see what's there. I don't want to pass the kitchen and open up the refrigerator looking for something that's in there. I don't want to think about dinner when I haven't even finished my lunch yet.
Yeah.
And then while I'm eating my dinner and I'm not even done with my dinner yet, I'm I want to eat my dinner so quickly because I know the dessert that's going to be afterwards. It's like I'm these are the things like they're going been they've been, you can call it like having the willpower, whatever it may be. It's just it's been a huge big struggle for me lately, and that has been, I'm an emotional eater and I'm a bored eater.
Okay.
Okay. So I let the emotions get the best of me and I use food to cope with those.
Okay.
And then if I'm
That's the one I
bored,
that's
yeah,
the one I
if I'm bored, I feel like I gotta have something, and I get, it's like an OCD type, like I just gotta have like food in front of me to numb the boredom, I guess.
For me, it's hands. Have you ever tried of like doing shit with your hands during those time frames? Because like that's has been my problem was like I felt like I needed to like keep doing this a lot at nighttime. So now like I do other things at night so that way I don't get that constant want of that. Um, but also you're not wrong. I had all those food noises like and they do lighten because like you've been on it for 1 week, right? Or did you just get your
Uh,
shot?
yeah, I just had my, so today is what, Monday night, and I had my first shot on Saturday night.
Okay,
So
so
yeah, I was
have you
approved Friday. I picked up the prescription Friday and then let it sit for a day while I was like, I just want to I want to make sure my mind is right starting and getting into this. And then Saturday night, I was like, I wanted to do it at nighttime, whether it matters or whatever. It just psychologically for me, it was like nighttime. My first dosage will be, first shot will be I'll do it at night. And
Mhm.
it was, I know I'm not going anywhere, football Sunday, I'm going to be home all day watching football and being around the house. It was if something goofy was going to happen to me or I'm going to feel weird or whatever, I'd rather be at home while it happened than going out and doing anything else. So I
Yeah,
wanted to at least,
feel safe
that
about
first
it.
one get used to it and know what I was getting myself into. So, but,
Yeah.
and I would say the only symptoms that I've had, side effects or whatever, going into, a couple days now is just a funny bloating type feeling, I guess is what I'll call it. But other than, yeah, it's just feeling, I don't know if that's a full feeling or just it's kind of like, how do I explain it? Like, you've had one of those big meals and you're waiting for the, like the burp to come up to like, kind of just like let all the air out type, you know?
Oh, no, I totally get it. Is the food noise gone for you yet? Because like, it happens to people sometimes really fast.
So I think I've had the I haven't really thought about it with the exception of knowing that, hey man, you got to eat something. You can't, you know, I,
Hey, so
you,
no, no,
yeah, like the coolest thing today was at work. You know, they're very generous at where I work as far as like snacks in the kitchen and all that type of stuff.
oh, good.
So, so it's easy. So not once did I it was kind of funny. Yes, I was busy, and I think busy has a lot to do with like taking your mind off of things too. I'll admit to that is like staying and keeping yourself busy and just, obviously the act of doing things. But um it was funny because I it was like towards the end of the day and on my ride home was the only time that I was thinking like, man, I had my lunch at like 11:30, you know, and here it
Okay.
is. Yeah, here it is 5 o'clock. I'm on my way home. And I'm like, man, that gap in between, I would have thought about what the heck I was doing 16 different times, what what am I gonna eat at home? Let's come up with, a plan or even trying to go into, the kitchen there and finding something that I could snack on. And it was funny. And I think, I will say like I want to do it's something brand new to me again. So that has that sense of confidence where it's twofold. I think the GLP is going to work for me, but I also think the just wanting to really do this right, there will be I'll combat willpower with the GLP-1 to kind of really grasp what it is that I want to do. Because
Well, I
like
know. Oh,
I, the only thing I was gonna say is like going through that kitchen, they had pop chips that were just sitting out, like they bought like Costco boxes of pop chips and anyone can go and grab. And it's like any other time I probably would have had 3 or 4 bags before, the day was over. You know? And it's like just because it's there, you're passing or whatever, I made it a point to look and see and recognize that those were there today and said, no, I don't there I it's yeah, I'm not gonna go through this emotional period of trying to get approved for, this medication only to think, yeah, and then have this like, oh, well, I'm on this now, so oh, I should be able to eat whatever I want because it does not work that way, and I know, and I'm smart enough to know that it does not work that way. So,
no, and I wanna challenge you to two things. One, you need to work your tool, and what I mean by that is like really give it all that protein and nourishment that it needs. So like make sure you're getting all that like every day. Get your fiber, get your protein in. It's really good for GLP-1 users. Like fiber is huge, huge, huge. Because like what people are not understanding is that we're taking the shot and it's slowing down our digestive system. So
yep,
that's the other part of why we feel full longer. Now, they want us to eat protein because that already makes you feel full longer. So they want you to have enough time now to digest everything and get things moving. And you need fiber to do that. So you need to be eating veggies and fruits. Doesn't have to be huge quantities. I know that I get at least like a couple fruits a day. And I get a yogurt a day. Yogurt helps. Just have a yogurt a day. I haven't had any issues. Maybe a couple yogurts, whatever, like whatever your body enjoys. But just know, like, use the tool how it's meant to be used. Like, give it the things that it needs to be given. Kind of treat it like a car, a bedroom, whatever. Like, treat it that way because we need to take care of it. And then the other challenge is too is like, what habits are you going to change? Because something's got to give. Like, we need to know, like, yes, like the food noise is going to help, and yes, the insulin resistance is going to help, but we're going to need something else too. Because, like, what are you going to do to cope with stress? What are you going to cope with when you get bored? Like,
Yeah.
do you have a therapist? Like, what is Jess going to do for himself to make sure, like, we're just working this tool and we're not going backwards?
And that's just it. I've thought about a lot recently. What you just touched on is like, um, you know, possibly with just the stress and another thing of, you know, talking with someone, you know,
Yeah.
um, and to me, like, it's kind of funny because going back into my, you know, senior year in high school, I was having a lot of depression and a lot of, stress that was going on. And so much so that I was fainting on numerous occasions yeah. Um, and it was freaking my parents out. My dad was gone. My room at the time was directly above the laundry room in the basement. My mom was in the basement. I'm in my room. A full on panic attack, it comes on, and I hit the ground. Now, back then I was even a big boy, so hitting the ground, and I don't know the exact weight that I was at that specific time, but it was enough to like scare my mom. So
Yeah. That would
yeah,
scare the shit out of me if that happened. I mean, I'm a 19-year-old, so that's, yeah. Yeah.
I went, and mom rushed me to the hospital during that episode, um, and they thought I was taking weight loss drugs. They didn't. My mom was
Right.
trying to say I don't think he is, and they took like blood gases from me, all these tests and everything. It comes back and it was like, I just said, I basically told them and broke down, was like, I'm just like, I told them I was broken. I said, I'm a broken kid right now. I thought that I wasn't going to graduate high school at the time, you know,
Were you
but
failing classes? Like,
yeah, I was going, it was like, it was, just a very, I was just very depressed at that point in time. And
okay.
someone had suggested to my parents, well, maybe you should have Jess, talk to someone.
Yeah.
And so I did. I started talking with someone, um, and it was kind of like I was that 18-year-old kid of like, there ain't no one that can help me, talking to them, but I at least gave it like it, I know that I scared my mother enough to that she wanted me to do this, and it was like I'm as much as it's supposed to help me, I'm doing it for my mom, and it was probably the best thing that I ever could have done at that point in time, because it was someone that was just genuine about listening to what I had to say, and
Good.
the bias and everything like was completely thrown, like there was no the judgment. It was judgment from there's something very different than like judgment from a coworker talking to you about something, judgment from a family member talking from, you know, it's that complete like stranger that really does not have anything connected to you except for what you're divulging and giving them the information on. And they're just processing what you're providing them, and
Yep.
they're calling out your bullshit, or they're calling out and helping you with what it is that you're telling them, that's true. And as an 18-year-old kid, that woke me up a lot, and it
Good.
really it really helped me. And there's nothing wrong, like even with me like thinking about it, um
So you don't have a therapist right now.
no, I do not.
You do not. That's okay. That's okay. They're out there. I mean, we even have one of our own therapists created, findabariatrictherapist.com. So that way people can have them. I didn't have a therapist until like I've had one 3 years ago. We were on for a year. She had to leave her practice, and then I didn't go to one for another year. And I just restarted up this February. So like, I think as long as you end up like going, that's really what's, I think you'll benefit a lot from it because obviously you're holding on to stuff. And I can just say that because I can just tell by looking at you and what you're telling me, like you're holding on to stuff that you don't deserve to hold on to. And I think you need a release from that. And I think too, like doing some journaling, like guys, I know actually guys that do journal. Like they actually like just kind of like collecting their thoughts of the day, kind of going over it. And then even just go outside, put your feet in the grass. Like people know
Oh,
I'm a hippie, but like it works, guys. We need to ground ourselves like once or twice a day. And if you can't go outside and put your feet in, then you just touch like a plant that is touching the ground. You just need something that's touching. It really helps your nervous system because I've had panic attacks. I know what that's like. I've never been hospitalized for a panic attack, but I've had them, and they are scary, very scary. So whatever we can do to make you not have panic attacks, and I know that was a long time ago, but still, like, how do we make you more successful? Really, is like for Jess, how do we make him successful? And I think therapy would be super helpful if you can get into it.
yeah. No, I don't disagree with you at all.
I love it. So how has been the people around you? So it sounds like your wife's super supportive because she did it with you. But how is that like dynamic with friends? Has it changed at all? Is everyone just really cool, or did you lose any friends because they were, just assholes and you just didn't know it?
Um, I don't know that from my, weight loss or anything like that, have, lost any friends or anything like that.
Good.
I've always had a pretty good, supportive, system and around me. Um, I can tell you, my mom is my, biggest fan. She's always been supportive ever since day one, always wanted me to, you know, do the right thing. Um, I would say the only one and you know, at the beginning stages of everything is my I would say my brother was probably the least receptive to everything.
Okay.
Um, yeah, he was probably one of the ones that took the road of the, eat less, move more, or you don't, yeah,
Legit.
yeah. But yet I could have been crying to him, bawling my eyes out, saying, "Okay, if you want to go to the gym, then you and I both go to the gym together." I'm not going to the gym, So it was like it's one of those where you plead and you cry for help because you you want someone to like do it with you,
Yeah.
type thing. But I would say, um, he has come around and
Good.
as far as like being supportive and everything of me
It's
doing
good.
it. And
Yeah.
I think you know we're 4 years apart. He's older than me, but I do think that he now kind of because you know let's face it, by numbers he's not the smallest guy himself.
I was about
He's
to ask.
nowhere near where I'm at or anything like that. But it's funny because when I was losing that weight and everything and got down to like the 313 mark, the whole joke was I've always been the little bigger brother, and I was
Mm,
getting to that point to where I was becoming
a
the
little.
smaller little, yeah. So, and not that he was jealous of that by any means whatsoever, but it was just, it was like I think he was finally seeing, and that's why
It's
I
like,
think a
oh,
lot
shit. Like,
bothers me right now. He was really seeing that even though I did get a tool of having the bariatric surgery at the time, but he was also seeing just how much effort, you know, because yes, I had that tool, but that tool it's only a tool. Like I had to put in the work myself to get where I was at. And like I was saying, like I've done a lot of steps and I've done it enough times to know that I can do it. And it just sucks that I have this like where um I get to a certain point where I think it's not a shut off like valve, like where I don't have to do it anymore, because it's never that. I just think it's like I'm finally getting in my mind, I'm finally getting to that point where I'm getting totally over the hump of things.
okay.
and it's like, like, and I have to like, I don't know. It's like it's almost like just a stupid thing of like me thinking I've always been the big Jess and I will always remain the big Jess, you know?
It's almost like an identity crisis. You don't know what to do if you become the little one. Like, I say do a competition with him. Fucking let's go. Like, let's see who be the smaller brother. I know
Yeah.
that helps with people. I mean, I love competition. I'm not gonna shy away from it. If somebody wants to put me on a challenge, let's go. You don't want to go against me because once I'm in a challenge mentality, I'm like, I will murder you. Like I will do whatever I have to do. Like I will step in place, and I've done it to beat step goals. So like maybe you too should do some sort of a challenge, or I mean, really therapy is going to help, I think, with that identity situation, because I feel like that is the deal, is like you are in your late 40s and you've been this guy for so long. Like, what's going to happen if you're a different guy? And it's like, you know 10 years from now you're going to be 200. I say 212. You'll be 212, and you're going to be like, you're going to feel amazing, and you're never going to look back. You're never going to
I
look
hope
back.
I hope so. I've done this, and it's been a constant, a struggle, and it's been a mission of mine, for as long as forever,
Yeah.
and I finally come to terms with, like, I think I was a little naive even back when I had the weight loss surgery,
Okay.
of thinking to myself that, there was like, I'm going to get the surgery, I'm going to lose all the weight, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Oh yeah, no.
You know, and and and
No.
as shitty as that sounds, it's the furthest thing from, you know, the truth. And um
Well, you're not the only one that thinks that. So just
yeah,
step
oh,
back. There's
yeah, no,
thousands and thousands of people that think that, and they get the same rude awakening. And it just depends on what you're gonna do with that rude awakening. Cause like we all get there and go, oh shit, I can't become a normie ever again. Like, because this can get out of hand real fast. And
yeah.
that's how it all regain. Because we start getting complacent, we get comfortable in our skin, we think that we're above gaining the weight, and then no, you're not. Numbers don't lie. So it's like, gotta
And it
give.
is. It's the, like, it is. It's the choose your hard type situation where it's like, do I want to choose the hard of getting up every day and aching and paining because, I'm a 400 pound, man, and that type of thing, and just
Right.
having things be difficult, and missing out on things because of the size that I am? Or do I want to choose my heart of putting in, like, the effort and the work to do what needs to be done, both figuring out mentally, figuring out who I am on that side, figuring out the types of foods that I got to eat that, um, just, I mean, I'm being general with with the answer or whatever, but the hard of, like, going through the process of where choosing my hard now so that things get
Never.
easier, but it's never like, I've come to terms with whatever path that I choose now going forward, this is never going to be an end to this. It's going to be like, whatever I choose has to be a forever type thing going forward. And that's just, it,
That's
it
just it.
really, yeah.
There we have to adapt and change our ways. We cannot ever be like we were before. It just doesn't work. We know what it looks like, and we want to like tempt it. We want, like, nah, that really wasn't the problem. No, it was like we overate, we didn't move, and we have insulin resistance. So once we're eating these foods, like, we're gaining and gaining and gaining. Like, our body's working against us because we're putting the wrong foods in it. Like, it's almost like where I wonder if there's a place that does this. I'm sure there is. But you know how like they'll take your allergies and like go through, like, you could do a prick test or something and it tells you every single allergy. It's almost like that. We should do some sort of blood draw where it goes, these foods are what will make your body work the best.
I'm sure
Like,
there's something out there that's
gotta be,
gotta be
right?
something.
Because I think that's more powerful than knowing what you shouldn't eat. I think if you literally sit down and go, okay, so if I literally eat these amount of things in a month, say, or a week's time, you're going to have this much X output. Like if we actually got to see the equation and then do it and see the outcome, like we would be way more receptive of like doing the things, right? So we need to note that and be like, okay, we need to figure out a company that does that, because it's not about willpower. I wanted to kind of want you to change your mindset on it. It's really discipline. Like we never were taught as kids how to discipline ourselves because our parents discipline us, right? And as we become parents, typically we learn how to discipline through our children. But if we don't know how to discipline ourselves, then it's that whole like do what I say, not as I do situation. And we get stuck in that cycle, right? So it's like we have to learn how to discipline ourselves. So that's knowing what foods will really help your body, drinking the water, getting the sleep, doing the therapy. And I wanted to touch base with like having someone that doesn't know your shit and doesn't judge you. Game fucking changer, guys. When you tell them something that you think is shocking and there's just a pan face, you're like, oh, I can tell you anything. No worries. Like, it's the best feeling. And then you become more and more open. Like, sorry guys, if you live in my like little circle, you know you're getting talked about at least once or twice. Like, it just happens. Like, it's just going to. So, I will read messages to my therapist just because because I'm that psycho to where like I'm afraid I am psycho. So like I'm like, can I read this to you to make sure I got the right interpretation? And same thing with my response back. Did I react like, was it mean? Did I go overboard? Was it too curt? Like and most of the time she's like, Melanie, you need to simmer down. Like you are not what you think you are. So like, you're not mean, you're being very courteous and going a long way for these people. And I'm like, okay. But like, that's what you need. You need someone that doesn't know the people. And you can literally do that. Like, you can use your therapy session for however you want to do it. Like, if you need their help, like figuring out what job you think would be good for you, they will do that. They will sit there with you and kind of go over, what do you like to do? What do you not like to do? What are your like non-negotiables, right? Like, they will do that. And if you want to do, like, I did a whole session just on childhood, like just being a big kid. I realize I never talk about it. And I have a lot of problems, like not problems, but just insecurities that still sit because I was bullied as a kid, because I was put down a lot. That's the only reason why I did well in school. And now that I'm learning is because that's where I got my attention from. Was if Mel did good at school, I got that attention, because I would get everything else it would be about my weight. So I made sure I knew shit. So that way there is different attention than you just talking about how I'm the big girl in the room, or like, oh, the funny fat chick. That's what I would get a lot. Um, and it sucks. And now my nieces are going through it. So that's what triggered it, was the cruise, being around all of them. And I'm like, oh, I have so many things I need to talk about. So it's like, guys, you can literally just tell your therapist what you want and they will literally talk about that. Like, you don't have to talk about what they want to talk about. Like, they'll get there. They'll sneak it in. Like, they get it. But you need some sort of sounding board that has no skin in the game. And it will do you wonders, because the things we're holding on to inside, we think that we're terrible people. It's like sometimes nothing. We're just holding shit on because we didn't know how to let go. That's what my therapist is working with me on. And I'm sure and that's why when I was talking with you, I was like, you are holding on to something. Something's
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's there's no denying that, and it's probably and it's funny too because like growing up, I I was one to always wear my emotions on my sleeve, and
Right.
I would say really like and I'm still that emotional guy, like 100%,
Okay.
but
Okay.
um, I've always been the you know uh I've always been the I'm okay, or we'll figure it out type, you know, when I know that that's probably not the real I know deep down that's not the real life that I want to live.
Well, and
So
yeah, we're hiding from ourselves. So it's like, yeah, I say get your therapist, bro. Get it. So tell me, what are some non-scale victories you've had during your seasons of, losing weight and what you've done?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the biggest ones, and I'm sure this is a lot for everybody, but it was never the like, like some will say like the roller, like being able to fit on a roller coaster or anything like that.
Yeah.
But
Love.
truly flying that when I got down to like the low 300s and stuff, um, I had you know I during my weight loss surgery when I got down to like 400, I found and fell in love with the game of golf.
Okay.
And, and I mean, and I like so much so that was like, you know, it was really like I lived it. I breathed it. I fell asleep thinking about it. I woke up thinking about it. Lately,
Oh,
and I haven't, probably, I can count on one hand in the last year and a half the amount of times that I've golfed. So it's kind of gone out the window for me. I think that's a little bit of,
come back.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but,
that's cool.
but finding golf and doing that and traveling and, you know, being able to golf out of state and during COVID, the application, oh God, why can't I think of the name right now? It was you, it
For
was you just I can't remember what it was called. You you got into a group of with everyone, but you talked to them, and they would call you up. You could come up to the and be and speak on, or you could have a group thing. What was it called?
oh,
Um.
I don't
Anyway,
I don't
yeah.
remember.
Hopefully it comes to me, and then I'll shout it out. But
Nice.
um, group. What was it called? Anyway, we all would meet on this application. This was during COVID, so like nobody was doing anything. We're all stuck at home, obviously, and we got on and we started, and we were talking about golf. Well, golf turned into us talking about our families and what was going on with our
Yep.
work, our job, and all of us were just straight. We only had like Instagram and everything. The Clubhouse, that's what it was called. Clubhouse.
Clubhouse.
Yeah, and so we would meet like every Tuesday night and just talk. Really, it was to talk golf when it first started, and then it turned and evolved into us building friendships, and like they were online friendships, but it was like the person that had created it, he's like, you know, wow, why don't we try to all get together and actually, golf, somewhere. So there was one individual and she was, part of the group, and she had some connections and stuff and worked for, I think, Callaway Golf, the big company out in Carlsbad.
Yeah.
And so she had some connections for like, like media, and like, she was able to get us a really good deal at um some nice courses in North Carolina.
Oh,
So
fun.
we stayed at these villas and we went, so that was like, that was something cool. But like just the it was the one time in all of this where like I like truly like felt like alive. Like I like the more of like it was more of the I was true for that almost 2 years. I was truly living and not
Yeah.
just not just breathing, existing, or anything like that. And there's times and episodes, here and there, but and it wasn't just about golf. It was like everything. I think in that period of time was really going well for me. Like uh, I can sit here and tell you in the most honest, like I was happy.
Good.
You know what I mean? Like I like I was. truly happy. And it's been hard to like find that and bring that, you know, bring that back.
Oh, it's
And I
coming
don't,
back.
and,
Co-
and, and it's hard, and it's hard because I sit and I contemplate with myself, like, where did that go? Like, where, like, what, like, because like you asked about like, was there like trauma when it like,
Do something. Yeah.
like, and it's like, um, I don't have anything to like pinpoint and like throw down on it that,
Slowly crept back on you. Cause like some people in the universe, well, I'll say the weight loss community, like they've had broken arms, they've had broken legs, they've gotten COVID fucking ran rampant through them to where they're sick all the time. They've had complications. So like, for me, it was a pretty traumatizing things that happened that I witnessed. So it was just like things can trigger us, and then all of a sudden we go right back to our old ways, because that's what I did. And that's what I see. It's very common with us. So that's why I was wondering, like, did you get in a car accident? Did something,
I
did someone
thought,
die in the family? Not to be like negative, but
yeah,
like that's what happens.
yeah.
Life.
And I wish I could say it was something like that. I mean, I really think like like I know I talk about the success, abandonment type situation, but I think it's more of like being so in a regimen, being so disciplined, okay? Because if I'm structured, I do very well, like super. And I think it's uh, giving in to the temptation of like, because in this whole process, I've always said like you you got to fix what's between the ears,
Yeah.
or none of this is ever going to work. Like for me, like I can do anything and everything. I can do a GLP-1, I can do weight loss surgery, I can do whatever, you know, diet,
Right.
whatever thing you think is a miracle out there to do. But if you don't fix what's up here, it's never going to work. And I think I always have that problem of like, I'm trying to I'm trying to figure out how to be disciplined, but give me grace in some of the other things. And I think the problem is that I get so disciplined and like uh, that it's a birthday party. Everyone else enjoy the cake. I'm not enjoying anything about it whatsoever. And getting so disciplined in that, and I did that. Like when I was on keto for a long time, and I did very well, but I was so disciplined, and it got so exhausting. And it got to the point to where like
Huge
when
regiment.
when I wanted to indulge a little bit, and I started letting that back in,
Yeah.
I just couldn't let it back in. It like like I derailed myself again because I was like, oh, wife and I go to Chicago for a trip. Well, we're gonna indulge and have Chicago style pizza because we're here. You can't go to Chicago without having blah blah.
Right.
And it's like so you have a little bit of that and you come back. Well, it's like, well, I had a little bit in Chicago. Why can't I have a little bit now that I'm back home? And it was just it's like these types of things, and I can see and I know I'm catching myself, and I know
Right.
and it's like
It's all little
why
stuff.
yeah, and it's just it was very hard for me because I went through a period of time of the you know when I had my weight loss surgery, I was so disciplined in the regimen of doing everything correctly at that point in time. Then I gained a little bit of weight back in between that. Then I started keto, did very well with keto, and this was like during COVID and all that, and I like knocked it out of the park, and only to then find myself, that like where I'm at now. The
That's
difference is that the difference is like I'm not I yes, I've derailed this, but I'm not 600-pound Jess
No,
again.
you're still under. You didn't gain back all of it. You're down a lot
Yeah.
comparative.
I give myself credit in that. I'm not where I'm definitely not where I'm going to be and where I'm gonna get to, because
Yeah.
I've always said to myself, I'll never quit on myself. So be
Well, good.
be so it it's gonna happen for me, and I've always said that it's gonna happen. And whatever this happened that I have in my head is like my goal weight has always been like the 288 mark. And the reason why I want the 288 is because I want that sense of accomplishment of 300. Like, I think 300 total pounds lost from the heaviest that I was is like that's like my, you know, put the plaque on the wall type thing and give
Yeah,
me, that's like my
yeah.
own personal award to myself. And then whatever happens after that, as I continue on, is, you know, we'll call it the, gravy icing on the cake type thing. I just want to see that I want to jump on the scale and see that 288 number, knowing that 300 pounds I've been able to, you know, give,
Depending
give,
on how you
give to
slice
somewhere else.
people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, because my highest was recorded was 308. So like, if you lose 308 pounds and you've lost a melody, you lost a big mel. and and you know what? You're gonna get there. Like I can already tell, like your mindset's changing, and you know what you just need to not be so disciplined on you physically. You just need to be disciplined to you on between the ears, like you're saying. That is where the discipline needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because like if you're restricting too much or if you're not letting yourself have randomness, remember we live in the gray. Food has to be in the gray areas. It can't be one or the other. As much as everybody wants it to be, I was that person too. I get it. But guess what, guys? You will feel so much better when you live in the gray. Just live in the gray with everyone else. You will be fine. Because I'll have a soda every once in a while, like once a month, every couple months, whatever, like I will still have it. It just can't come in the house. Like that's where you have to figure out what are your non-negotiables and don't bring it into the house. Like you don't put a crackhead in a crack house, right? So we're not going to put us in a situation where we're just going to eat what's in our cupboards because that's what's in our cupboards. Like you have to set yourself up for success.
Yeah.
And it does start mentally and in the kitchen. What's in your kitchen? I want to know. What does Jess have in his kitchen?
Like right this second.
Like right this second. Not what you want it to be, not what it has been. What's in there right now?
Well, we have a deep freezer that's full of a lot of like, chicken and
All the meats?
yeah. This household pretty much fuels themselves on chicken.
Cool.
So if there's all different forms of chicken, we have it. Um, you know, the pantry is full of all things, from, you know, it, we do steaks. We don't like, we give in. That's the problem. Is like, my wife and I will both say, we're not going to keep it into the house, and you know, and then it ends up getting, bought for, the girls, and now you have the girls are back in school now, so now they're, we're trying to find the better types of snacks, but they're still snacks, and it's just, and for me, I just have to be cool with like, it's like what I was saying earlier about walking past them pop chips in the kitchen at work. And like basically you're saying, like, yeah, any other day, or, like, and it's just a matter of like, kicking in the discipline, and and I have to be like, if I've always said, like, even if I was going through a lot of what I'm going through, and this is not to pin any of it on my family, my wife or my girls or anything like that. But like, I sometimes say to myself, if I were still like bachelor Jess, I would I be able to even do half of what I'm doing now? I think it either be one of two ways. I don't think I'd be here because I probably would have ate myself to death, or like,
You'd be you'd be at the 288.
yeah, that
Yeah.
type of thing. And it's just,
It's
it's
okay
like,
to say it. It's
and
okay.
it's not because we're, like you said, like, you can't bring it into the house. Like, we're bringing stuff into the house, and it's like, even like, I even do, like, I went through a period of time where I would go home from work, I'd call my wife and say, "What's for dinner?" or "What do you want to do?" let's say she was making something, and this is the old Jess, not like in recent years or anything like that. I've finally gotten past, doing this, but I would hit a drive-through
Mhm.
and get something before coming home, knowing that what she said was for dinner wasn't really like appealing to me or whatever, only to stop at a drive-through and eat something, get home and still eat what was made,
Doing,
even
yep.
even yeah, even though I didn't like it. Those types of things, and those were just things like that. I've gone through this type of stuff, my whole life, and it's just, um, I think more so now. It's like I know I'm not getting any younger, and I know that I know I can still lose this weight. I know it's not gonna be as easy as it was, 8, 10 years ago to have done it, but I don't put any age limit on, you know, being able to lose weight. So
No,
yeah,
we
so
live.
so yeah, so and it's like I just want to hit that 288 number.
Well, then get it,
You
bro.
know,
Get that number. I'm gonna be a little bit of a stickler, and I think you and your family needs to reassess what comes into the house because
yeah,
it shouldn't matter whether it's for the girls or not, because they shouldn't be eating it either, right? So I think as a family, because that's what we had to do. Eric wouldn't like, because Eric was a junk food junkie, and he would ride his bike to go get fast food because I was like, you can't bring it in. I'm going to want it, Like there's going to have to be some compromises. I'm not saying everything, obviously, it won't come in, but maybe just certain things that you don't like they can bring in still, so that way it doesn't get you to want to think about it
yeah,
or go to it. Because like Dylan and Eric really like hard candies or Tony's fucking pizzas. And I'm like, have at it. I don't even give two shits about either of those. That is not going to be my problem. Like, you bring in garlic bread, you bring in fucking cookies. I'm like, muffins, we're a problem. So just keep that out. You guys can keep your hard candy and your fucking whatever gross chips because I'm not going to just eat chips to eat chips, right? Because at this point, we're going to eat them, but it better taste good. So I'm
yeah,
like, I'm not going to eat your fucking Cooler Ranch chips. I'm not going to have your Mountain Dew because I don't think about those things. So it's like, whatever, maybe you make a list of foods that you like and trigger foods, and then those are just the ones that just don't come in or something. Because that way, there just has to be some sort of balance. Like that's all. And I think the whole family will be successful. Stop it.
yeah.
Stop it.
It is. We've talked about it, and it, we all have to make the sacrifices and commitment. And my wife and I, we talk about it, and it's and it really it I'm a firm believer that it has to start with us for it to transcend
Yep.
to the kids.
Yep.
So, if I'm not, it's like, look, I have a 14-year-old, and it's well, you know, instead of it being, no, you can, it's, well, if you're doing it, then I should be able to do it too. Or I'm doing this, that type of thing. And that's just a matter of like dealing with, a 14-year-old, but
Yep.
it's like, I, at the end of the day, as much as I want to be the parent and be like, no, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you what to do, and you live under, my roof, and that type of thing. Just the same things that, like, when we were kids and we grew up with our own parents telling us the same thing. But
Yep.
to a certain point, they do make a point of like, why, if you can't handle your biz, why are you making me suffer from, it as well? And
Yep.
I'm a firm believer, like from what you said, is like getting us all on the same page of believing that we all can do. Like, I was so a proud moment today. I have this new um treadmill, and we had
Nice.
just together or whatever, and I come home from work, I walk in the door, and my oldest daughter, she's the first, like, I built this thing, and my wife, did most of it, last night or whatever, and we finished it up last night, and she's like the first one on it, today, as I come home, and because she really wanted to use it. And I bought this stuff to build it. Like I procrastinated. I built this stuff to like build a gym out in the garage, and I kept on putting it off. And it was like now it's getting into the winter months, and it's like
Now you
no,
have to.
no one's gonna want to go out in the garage and work out in the garage when it's when it's cold or anything like that. So we finally got this in the house, and I've got some other things too, like dumbbells and stuff, and and I was proud, like I did. I had a proud moment of like, wow, I
Good.
really thought we were gonna, and I hope this lasts. I hope it's not just like because it's a brand new toy or whatever, type thing, and it lasts for a week, and then we don't see anyone, using it or anything like that. I just, it has to be
Who's
repetitive,
all use it?
repetitive amongst all of us, and I think it will be a continuous type thing.
So all of you are supposed to be using it.
Yeah, I mean, it was,
Well,
none
I
of this
guess
stuff was intended for just myself.
right, right. Well, and I guess too, like I guess don't. This is what my husband did to my kid. Well, it's his kid too. So what he did to our kid that kind of fucked him up a little bit with that kind of stuff is like he would get mad at Dylan for not doing when he was supposed to, like his time on it, but then he wasn't doing his time. So it's like, how about you just worry about your time? Make sure you get your own time in, and then you can worry about everyone else. I would say just hone in on and that because they're gonna see it. That's the deal. Is like we give them the inspiration, us parents. So like if they're seeing you out there and they're gonna be like, "Oh shit, dad's out there. Shit, I didn't go today. I'm gonna have to get out there." Like, like they start doing that shit in their head when they're just sitting there watching you. So I say, yeah, get your booty on it every day. What's your step goal? Do you have one?
Yeah, I usually even at work because I'm usually up and about, you know, at work. I would love to hit 10,000 each and every day, and I know that's doable, very doable for me. But I usually hover anywhere between like 75 and 8,500 a day.
Nice.
So, which is
Solid.
pretty, which is still, still pretty good. So it's not, I mean, it's,
I'm
but then
only
there's
hitting
some,
like 6, so
yeah,
not
but then
6
there's
steps,
some
but
days,
6,000. So
and I track it on my Apple Watch, but then there's some days where like it was just one of those days where I was like stuck in my office all day, and I got like 3,000, you know. So it fluctuates.
good
I've never had that's the thing. Like I've never, even as big as I am, I've never really. Will I? If I'll complain in my own head about walking, but I never really like have ever like it's never been a problem for me to like you know to
do it.
to, to walk.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
good.
I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll be exhausted and you know I mean, but there was a time in my life at 600 pounds where I didn't do much of nothing but sit on the couch.
Right.
And I'm gonna be honest with you now. There's still days where I come home from work now, and all I want to do is, you know, sit on the couch. But I at least remind myself that I can get up and go and enjoy, a walk or going on a vacation and walking and that type of thing. So, it's just things in life has gotten better for me as far as the weight, but it's not I'm not 100% where I want to be, and I know that. So there's a lot of work and a lot of me finding. I'd love to find the Jess of 2020, 2021 again, and figure out where he's at because that was like it just was a really good time at that
He's
at
in
that
there.
point.
At least he's in there. So he will come back with a vengeance. You're gonna do all the right things. Like, and I say, like, I can see it. Like, you want it. So go after it. Be there for the guys. Are you online? And oh, I know you're obviously online, but are you doing any collabs with the other guys? Are you trying to get more involved with the community? Because I know community is very important to you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I am involved out there. Like I said, I'm involved in the OAC, the Obesity Action Coalition, and doing that. A big passion of mine with that program is they have their Thrive program, which is about, childhood obesity and just making sure that the awareness gets spread, for that. Being as, even it's kind of cool with us talking right now is just this month is childhood, obesity month as well. So, so like spreading the word on that and just the education piece on that, that's something that hits home to me. And, um, you know, so I look forward to being, a huge and a big part of that. Um, the bariatric community, I've always been supportive in that, whether it's, men, women, whatever it may be. There is a group, and that of us guys, we talk to each other, day in, day out, and I know I can go in there and lean on them, and that's very, very convenient and very, very helpful. So there's a huge avenue of support that is out there within the weight loss community. I only want to basically tell the world about it because I think there's a lot that's out there that they don't understand that that's really available. I think there's a lot of past and like there's a lot of people don't get involved because I think wherever they go, and this is a shitty thing, wherever they go, they think they're going to be judged.
Right. Well, because we have
yeah, but even getting involved in a group that's supposed to be supportive, it's like say, it's like you say the one wrong thing or whatever, and then it's like, you're not supported in it, type thing. So I'm big about weight loss, like just weight bias, weight stigma, and just advocating, for obesity and for, because I think it's very important. I think it's important that those, figure out and kind of change the tune and their voice that obesity is a disease in this world, and that more people get on board with that, mindset. And just the notion that there's individuals that need help, and if there's the opportunity and avenues for them to get that, no matter what it may be, that those resources and that is available to them, and they should know where to go and seek that information. So that's a big, huge proponent of mine. But I'm available for anyone and everyone. Like I'm always that I seek the support and I feed off of that, and I feed off of individuals that, that reciprocate, that back.
Well,
I don't know it all. I don't claim to know it all, but if someone wants to, reach out to me and ask me about, I've always been like that, any time that anyone has ever asked for the help and support, the guidance of, what's going on or what's being done. And I'm a learner by trade, so I'm always looking for that extra, piece of, information that I didn't know before because it excites me, and it gives me hope that there is the resources and there is the opportunity out there, not only for myself, but for others as well.
Well, and I appreciate you being there for the guys and all of us too. If you guys want to talk to James, you want to do anything like collaborations, I say be in the community as much as possible, help out with the OAC, come to events so that way you can get involved and be part of it. You can find him at Time for Change 365 on Instagram. And guys, make sure you are following all of our pages. It helps us more than you know. So click like, subscribe, share, especially on YouTube. We need all the subscriptions as we can. We got to let people know we're here. We got to let them know that, yes, we might be vulnerable, but we're not going anywhere. And we're just trying to help and educate and be there for each other and for more and more. And there's so many people that need surgery and GLP-1s that can't get it. And it sucks and it's sad. And I'm going to do whatever I can to get more and more people the access. So follow, like, share, do the thing. And until next time, guys, make sure you're drinking your water, getting your protein, take those damn vitamins. And lastly, don't be an asshole to one another.
Thank you for joining me on this episode of Our Sleep Life podcast. Don't forget to head over to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and follow me on all the socials so you stay connected. And remember, until next time, keep shining bright.